Hello everyone and welcome to another video around fundamentals of programming. Today we'll be talking about methods in Java. So methods are basically the actions that you can perform on a given class. Uh, cl Classes and objects we'll be talking about in the next tutorial. So coming back to methods, within methods we'll be talking mainly about the method parameters, the inputs as well as the return types, and then we'll also be talking about method overloading concept and what it is. So without further ado, let's deep dive into the code and start writing the code to get a better understanding. As you can see, now I am in my Eclipse IDE, and here if you see, I have a class named calculator. So just think about what actions a calculator can do. So a basic calculator can add, it can subtract, it can divide, multiply, and so on. So those can be potentially the actions or the methods that you can write here. So I can just go start by saying static void add, and then I can take some inputs of the number one and the number two. So this is one example of a method where you are basically taking two inputs as numbers, and the method will do or perform an action of adding those two numbers. But here, if you see from a signature perspective, you're not returning anything. So in this example, we'll just go and then print that information as a result. So what I will do here in this example is I will just take uh, both of these two numbers, and then I will just go and then add those numbers, and then we'll print that information for the end user. So let's start with seeing how to use it. So I have this main function like we have been using before. So within this main function, what I can do is I can define another variable called integer result, and within that I can just go and then call this add method passing two numbers which are basically integers. So here if you see what I am doing here is I am basically calling this add method, and I'm just trying to go and then do a add of these two methods. Now if you see here, since my return type is void, this method is giving me an error. So this means the method is not returning anything, and I'm trying to go and then do a typecast. So what we have to do is we have to just go and then remove this, because if you see within this method, what we are doing is we're not returning the outcome of this method, just printing that outcome directly within the method itself. So let me comment this hello line and then see. Ideally, what it should do is it should start, the program should call this method, take these two numbers as input, and then should print a 5 because we're passing 2 and 3 as numbers. So you can see this printed 5 here. Now talk about another variant of this add method. So what I can do is instead of having this method to print this information, I can just say the method returns an integer as a result. So this is basically a return type. And then instead of basically printing this information here, I can just go and then return the result of these two additions as part of the output of this. Now, if you just try to call this method the same way, it will fail because the method, let me comment this one too. So now if you try to call this method as it is, since you don't have a return type assigned, you will not be able to see the result. So what I will do here, I will just do the same thing what I was doing before. I will just say integer result, and I will take the outcome of this in this variable, and then I will print this information here. So it's result, and then I will just go and then use the result information here. So now if you see, it does the same thing where uh, instead of method printing the information, method has returned the information back to us, and we are utilizing that information by printing it within the main method. So this is another way where we are able to go and then have a return type, whereas the first method didn't have a return type. Another variant could be, instead of having a single return type, two numbers, I can go and then have multiple. So I can just say number three as well. So you can have n number of parameters. It could be 0, or it could be 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever you want, and that should work uh, with it too. So now if you see I have three numbers, all I have to do here is I have to pass another one. I will pass 5. That means 2 plus 3 plus 5. It should return me a 10 result. Uh, so you can see the result is a 10. So I hope you would have understood how method work. Now the next thing we will talk about here in this video is to talk about the method overloading. So method overloading is a concept where you can have a method with the same name, but you can have different arguments being passed to it. So a good example here would be the one that we were initially creating. So let me just go and delete this one. So previously, if you remember, we had this method which was taking two numbers and then returning you the result. We started with creating another one which has three numbers and returning the result of those three numbers. So if you see here, both of these methods have the same return type, they have the same name, only the number of arguments or parameters are different. So this is basically called method overloading, where you overload methods by creating the variants, and the variants are created by having the same name and different set of arguments. The next thing would be you can even go and then create another one. I will just show you for clarity. You can have another one with 4, and that should work too. So now if you see here, what I can do is I can go and then utilize the same. So what I will do is, instead of taking it in a variable, I will just go and then print the result here directly, so that it's simple and easy. So what I will do is I am calling the method add with two arguments. The first one here, then I will just go and then use the same syntax, but I will add three numbers here. And then this one is basically the fourth, the with four numbers. So now you can see we got the result from all of these three different methods. So in this case, the first method, which has two parameters, that was called. In the second case, the one which has three parameters was called, and then in the last one, there were four parameters that was called. So this is how the method overloading work.